Okay, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Getting towards the end of day 2 now. The end is in sight, ladies and gentlemen. Done very well to get here. Who's excited about Black Friday? Nobody? There's one person at the back, maybe? So, this is the IMRG Theatre. Who's heard of IMRG? Anyone? A couple of people? In case you haven't, a quick introduction to who we are and what we do. We are the UK's e-commerce association, and we exist to provide retailers with market data. And the way we get that data is we have a big panel of retailers. There's about 220 of them. Here is a bunch of some of their logos. Every single week, these retailers send us a file that says, here's what we sold on our website. They say how much money they've made, how many orders they took, the traffic that came to their website. It's quite sensitive information. We basically then add it up to say collectively how did that group do. And we publish it to say what the year-on-year growth was for those retailers, what the average basket value looked like, what the typical conversion rate was. And the idea is retailers can then use those numbers as a market benchmark to compare their own performance against. If you've had a really tough August, you can use our numbers to go, everybody else had tough as well. Now, in the period of Black Friday, we speed up the data collection. So across the period of the Black Friday week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Cyber Monday, we collect those sales figures every day. On top of that, we're doing loads of tracking around when retailers start their sales performance, how much they're discounting by and how long they do it. So what you are about to see is the results of all the data that we've ever collected across multiple Black Fridays. What happened last year, what the discounting trends were, was it good, was it bad, and also a little hint as to what might come this year. The presentation is split into 3 bits. We've got 10 minutes from me at the beginning, showing you some sales performance. Then we have our guest speaker, Denise, from Shopify, is going to talk to you about your peak planning. And then we're going to end with some more stuff around whether if you should actually extend your campaign to get more money. So we'll start with the sales performance. Here is those 8 days that I told you about. This is the Black Friday week from last year. All those retailers in our panel that, by the way, if you were to add up all of the sales revenue that those retailers represent across a whole year, it comes in at just over £26 billion in online spend. So it's a very good sample as to what happened in the UK. But for the Black Friday week, this is what they did. And it wasn't great. Oh, I'm sorry to say. The middle chunk of the week was down quite considerably year on year. The big day itself was down 3.3%. The surprise of the week last year was the Cyber Monday. And we will come to why Cyber Monday was so good last year right at the end. There's a little surprise I'll reveal for you. But that is just the Black Friday week. We are also tracking lots of other stuff around the whole month of November. And it's quite interesting to look at how the average retailer's revenue gets broken up across the 4 weeks of November. So we've been tracking this for quite a while, 2018 up to current periods. Here is what the revenue distribution looks like across each of the weeks in November. So as of kind of this block here, from 2020 onwards, there's a fairly neat pattern that the amount of money increases as the weeks go by, as more and more retailers start their campaign, but you will always have week 4 that contains Black Friday as the highest proportion of revenue. And it isn't really changing. 4 years worth of fairly consistent, that is what you should be expecting. So let's take a look at what happened at some of the product categories for last year. To start with, we will look at clothing. So here is a load of stats as to what happened in clothing last year. It was a fairly tough period for clothing. A little spoiler alert, I don't know if anyone here is a clothing retailer. At the moment, it's also very, very tough. Something that I would like to point your direction towards is this one. clothing was down over 7% year on year. So just to spell that out, if you took all the retailers in our panel and said how much money did you earn selling clothing last year and compare it to 2022, it was 7% less in 2023, which is quite bad. So not good to be clothing. Let's take a look at the next one. I believe it's going to be home and garden is the next one. A load of stats coming in here. The interesting thing that if I can direct your eyes towards is the bottom left. We looked at the largest 10 retailers as to what their year-on-year growth was for Black Friday. The largest 10, by the way, in home and garden, you will all know who they are. Big names, well-known companies selling home and garden products. 9 of them had year-on-year negative growth for Black Friday last year. Very, very tough. However, if you happen to be selling barbecues or any kind of garden furnishings, on Black Friday, the Saturday, Sunday, and Cyber Monday, sales of that type of product went through the roof. We don't know why, but out of all the product categories that we track, and there's about 35 of them, garden furnishings was the best performing category across all of Black Friday last year. Next up, after home and garden, we're going to take a little look at health and beauty. Health and beauty, by the way, is the category that is performing the best currently in 2024. Here are your stats. The bit I would like to point your eyes towards is on the bottom left. Out of all the retailers in our panel, we break them out by categorizing them into either budget retailer, mid-market, or premium. So a budget retailer in the health and beauty space typically is going to be someone like Revolution Beauty or Superdrug, perhaps. Mid-market is like your Boots, and then your premium is someone like Space & K, perhaps. A little bit more fancy. It turns out that whenever you put a discount on premium beauty, it goes berserk. People love a bit of fancy beauty that is cheap. Next up, after health and beauty, we've got, what is it? We've got electricals, the poster child of Black Friday. Back in the day, it was all about your big widescreen TV for Black Friday, wasn't it? It was fights in Asda over that 50-inch TV. The bit that is interesting about electricals, look in the top left. Out of all the retailers that sell electricals, 70% of them had started their Black Friday campaign by the 2nd of November. That is a month-long bonanza of discounting. So, next we are going to take a little look at what they look like across the week. This is it, so you can see the individual performances. The point of this slide, look at Cyber Monday. Once again, very, very good performance on the Cyber Monday by every category. It was the best day for clothing, and the others all did very well as well. We will come back to why Cyber Monday did so well at the end. And it's quite good, and it's good news for this year as well. So, when did campaigns launch in 2023? We are tracking loads of stuff over Black Friday. There is a list of 295 retailers that we have on a spreadsheet. Every single day in November, we go on to all of those websites and look to see if they have started their Black Friday campaign. It's very boring, but it gives us some good data. So here is a load of the screen grabs that we took across a bunch of retailers. This is Boohoo. On Black Friday, they started roughly in the middle of the month with an 80% off, up to 80% off. Big competitor of theirs, ASOS, they went pretty much the same, 80% off, but they started on the 22nd of November. For reference, Black Friday last year was on the 24th, so they started pretty much on the Wednesday. At the other end of the spectrum, someone a bit more fancy, Dyson started on the 23rd, All Saints started on the 17th. The 17th of November was the Friday before Black Friday. There is a theory that goes around that the public don't know when Black Friday is. Not sure on that one, but people report to us that they see an uptick in traffic on the Friday before Black Friday, customers going, oh, it's a Friday in November, it must be Black Friday. So there's a theory that goes around, it's quite popular to launch your campaign on the 17th. I don't know. This is DFS, they went with a good old discount timer, counting it down, love that. Dunelm, they went for the middle of the month. They finally went into Black Friday. Dunelm, for years, decided to call it Green Friday or something else, but then they succumbed to the pressure, joined everyone else and said it is Black Friday. H&M did something fun. They went members only. It was on the app. That was quite entertaining. Boots started on the 31st of October. Health and beauty, by the way, is the one category out of everything that starts the earliest. I showed you that electrical starts early? No. Health and beauty is the one that goes very, very early. B&Q went live on the 27th of October. Revolution Beauty on the 31st of October. It's not even November, and they are starting their Black Friday campaigns. Wayfair, 27th of October. AO, 31st of October. If you are planning your Black Friday sales, and you're thinking about starting the day before, be aware that this is going on outside of your company. Another beauty retailer, the 1st of November, Superdrug. Currys went live on the 1st of November. Next, nope. No Black Friday activity whatsoever. Next are one of the very few companies that can get away with not doing Black Friday. Not even a sniff of the sale activity, nothing whatsoever. The only other company that can do that is IKEA. That's Swedish for nope, by the way. So let's take a look at what that looks like across the aggregate. So there's 295 retailers that we track, and we do it every single year with the same set of retailers. And we plot it on a graph to show you how many are live at each point throughout the month. The problem is Black Friday moves around in the calendar each year. So what we've done basically is put Black Friday on the far right, and then we've done it the distance from Black Friday that that retailer launched their campaign. So you've got 1 week away from Black Friday, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then right at the beginning of the month on the right-hand side. So in 2021, out of the 295 retailers, this is how many were live at each point in the month. You will see that the Monday of the Black Friday week, which is here, is the most popular day for retailers to switch on their campaigns. The same set of retailers the following year did this. And you will see that the yellow stalks are a little bit higher than the red ones. That means at that point in the month, more retailers had gone, yes, we're going to start our campaign earlier. The following year, the same thing happens. More and more retailers are starting earlier. And to kind of quantify this and put it into one nice little nugget of numbers for you, the bits we've just highlighted there on the left-hand side, those black boxes, one is for 2021, one is for 2022, and one is for 2023. They are the Monday, that is the first day of November for each of the years. And that is how many retailers were live on that day. So you had 41 retailers live in 2023. The same set 2 years earlier only had 12. Basically, people are starting their campaigns a lot earlier. So, how are we doing? We're nearly going to hand over to Shopify in a second. To sum all that up, here are the final stats that you will want to know. We can look at how many retailers went earlier, how many went later, how many stayed the same, how many didn't do Black Friday this year, and how many didn't do Black Friday last year. These are the numbers. Over half of all those retailers, 53%, decided to start their Black Friday campaign earlier in 2023 compared to 2022. The average increase and decrease was 5 days. Now here's something extra useful for you. We asked retailers in another survey, we said, what have you got planned for this year? We said, when are you going to launch your Black Friday campaign? We gave them a date to say, we're not going to do it. First week, second week, third week, fourth week, fifth week. This is what our big panel of retailers have planned for this year. Hopefully something useful for you to know around the timings of Black Friday. It looks like they're telling us they are going to start in the 5th week of November. November this year is a 5-week month, so Black Friday is right at the end of it. So who knows? They might be telling us porky pies, but it looks like most people will start in the final week. But right now, we are going to hand over to our guest speaker, Denise, from Shopify. Please give a round of applause to Denise. Thank you.
Is my microphone live? Can everyone hear me? Hi everyone, thank you for your time this afternoon. My name is Denise Rush. I am a Senior Merchant Success Manager at Shopify here in EMEA. I am going to go through some research we conducted in August. So as part of some wider global research, we surveyed 2,000 British shoppers in August 2024 to get a sense of how people are preparing for peak season this year and to compare how shopper attitudes are evolving from 2023. So, UK shoppers plan on spending over 20% more than last year. However, there is still appetite for discounts. 83% of shoppers still compare prices for discounts, which is the same as 2023. Younger adults are spending more, and shoppers aged 25 to 35 are more likely to increase 36% or match 34% their spending this Black Friday compared to last year. Shoppers spurn spontaneity for planning. So British shoppers like to switch between pre-planned and spontaneous purchases, 49%. 38% of shoppers pre-plan most purchases, while only 13% prefer spontaneous shopping. Only 16% say they never rarely set a budget. 32% admit they set a budget but don't stick to it, and 31% set a budget and stick to it carefully. Of those who set a budget, 42% say they usually exceed it. That is me. So, next up, only one in 5 shoppers, that's 23%, are starting to plan peak season shopping before the end of June. And nearly half, 47%, do the bulk of their shopping in November and December. So planning is starting earlier, but most people wait to buy. Next up, let's look at AI optimization and discovery. So digital natives turn to bricks and mortar for discovery. Over a third of shoppers, that's 38%, say they are more likely than last year to discover a product in store. This rises to 47% among the youngest group, 18 to 24. The second highest among all age groups. The most likely group is 25 to 34 at 49%. Next up, let's look at the hybrid approach. So shoppers are embracing a hybrid approach. 59% of consumers prefer a hybrid shopping experience, buying small items online and larger items in store. 61% search online before purchasing in-store, emphasizing the need for consistent commerce experiences. Personalization is raising shopping expectations. So tailored experiences are matter more and more. 57% prioritize a personal shopping experience, while 36% of consumers expect AI to improve the shopping experience, customer service, and in-store experience. Shoppers want recommendations, with 79% of 25 to 34-year-olds looking for buying suggestions. Selling in a shifting landscape. So social selling is changing. Young shoppers can continue to buy from Instagram and TikTok, while Facebook remains flat. So you can see the numbers there. Instagram 59%, TikTok 62%, with Facebook at 26%. In the US, Facebook's popularity as a shopping destination has dropped significantly from 44 to 30%. Middle-aged groups, 35 to 44, and older age groups, 45 plus, display stability or slight declines in purchase likelihood across most platforms. Now let's look at loyalty. So driving loyalty with more than discounts. So discounts remain a key driver of customer loyalty at 50%, but are less important than last year, down from 60%. 42% prioritize free shipping, 31% prioritize offering loyalty schemes, and 30% prioritize providing a great customer experience. Now let's look at the 8 consumer personas shaping British shopping this peak season and see if you see yourself in here. So the bargain hunter waits until they see a great deal or a big sale starting before they begin their holiday shopping, 25%. The gift guru, I think very carefully about what to buy to ensure I get the right things, at 17%. The happy hoarder, any season squirrel, all year rounder, monthly magpie. It doesn't matter the time of year, they buy gifts or items when they see them, and it keeps the pressure off when the holiday season comes. That's 16%. The list keeper, I like to feel like I'm a list keeper, but I'm definitely not. I keep meticulous lists to help me plan every aspect of my holiday shopping, 13%. The last minute sprinter, I think about it at the 11th hour and buy whatever I can find or get it delivered in time, 10%. And the single swooper, I will think about it and do all of my shopping in one go, 10%. The over preparer, all gifts are brought and wrapped by October, 5%. And the deft delegator, someone else does all of my holiday shopping for me. I'm also that for my partner. So some interesting insights there. If you're interested in more BFCM strategies, come to our Shopify booth at K40. We're here for the rest of the day and would love to chat. Hand it back to you, Matthew. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Denise. So, the big question that you might be asking yourself in your Black Friday planning, can you make more money by running your campaign for a longer period? You might think, yes, of course I can. I'll make more money. But actually, are you just going to take the same amount of demand and spread it thinner across a longer period? We tried to answer that question last year, and we think we've got pretty close to it. So we asked retailers to tell us, across your whole campaign of Black Friday, from the day you started it to the day you stopped, how much money did you make? And then tell us the exact same numbers for the year before. So we then knew how many days they ran it for, how much money they made, and you can shove it all in a great big chart. So running from left to right are the number of days that they either increased their Black Friday campaign for or decreased it. Then running from bottom to top is the year-on-year change in the revenue that they made. Did they make more money or less money? We had close to 70 retailers tell us what those exact numbers were. Each dot on this chart is a retailer. There's quite a lot of information on there, but it's important to go through a few little points. For example, this retailer here, this blue one there, they ran their campaign for 2 days less last year in comparison to 2022, and it turns out they made about 20% less pounds in their tills, whereas good old Mr. Green over here, he ran his campaign for 2 days more, and he made a whopping 60% more money. The interesting thing is the group of retailers that are all sitting on the 0-day line. Some of them made more money, and some of them didn't make more money. It's quite unpredictable, but there are some that made more and some that didn't. So essentially, what we can do is group them into those that ran a shorter campaign, those that ran the same length campaign, and those that ran a longer campaign. What we then did was worked out how many retailers did it and how much more money did they actually make. So out of all the retailers that ran a short campaign, how many made more money? This is your answer. 4 out of every 5 retailers that increased the length of their campaign made more money. Now the thing is, this is looked at purely at a volume basis. How many did it? What was the consequences? What we haven't taken into consideration is whether these people spruced up their campaign and made everything 90% off. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt, but based purely on a numbers, a volume game, it does suggest that if you run your campaign for longer, 4 out of every 5 retailers that do it will make more money. And the average amount of money that they made has just been shoved up on screen. So I mentioned there the idea of running a different campaign. You can actually categorize your Black Friday campaign into one of 4 different types. They are either based on selected products, so you ring fence a certain group of items and say that is what our Black Friday is on, or that sale is across the entire website, site-wide. The difference between the top and the bottom comes down to two magic words: up to. Whether your sale is up to 50% or whether it is a flat 50% off everything. Here are some examples. So the first one, selected products up to. This is Cotswold Company. They have selected furniture and homewares, and it is up to 40% off. Zara, meanwhile, had a fixed 40% off selected products. Then we went to New Look. They had up to 50% off everything, site-wide. And then you get the final one, which is my favorite. It's the easiest one to understand. Fixed rate, entire website, 20% off. So, out of those four options, think to yourself, what is the most common approach? Which do you think gets most retailers doing it? This is how many retailers do it. You are most likely to see retailers go for that selected products with an up to approach. Kind of makes sense. It's the option where you can curate it a lot easier. There's a bit more flexibility in it. When you put that up to number on it, you can be a little bit cheeky. There are some laws that you have to stick within, but that's generally it. We have tracked that with the same set of retailers across 3 years to see whether or not it's becoming more or less likely to veer towards one of those four. And the answer is not massively. So there isn't a huge amount of change in which type of discount people will go to. The thing that we often see is retailers will jump from whether it's selected products up to or site-wide up to. If you stick with the fixed, it's fairly similar. Those sorts of retailers won't jump about or switch going from fixed to up to. So in an IMRG survey, we also did this year. Less than 2% of the retailers are going to be changing the type of campaign that they did in 2023 for 2024. So that chart kind of rings true again. You won't see much change in what retailers are offering. Now, the end result of that is if you happen to know what your competitor was doing last year, there's a very good chance they're going to be doing the same again this year. Now, at the beginning, I promised you an answer. Why was Cyber Monday so good last year? And we thought, is it the case that all these retailers suddenly went, right, Black Friday's over, we're going to change up our campaign, put loads more products into sale, up the discount, and everyone's going to come shop with us on Cyber Monday. So we asked retailers to tell us, did you increase your discount on Cyber Monday in comparison to Black Friday? Or did you decrease that discount available, going from 30 down to 20% off? Or did you keep it the same? This was the result. Over 3/4 kept it the same. No change between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Okay, so you might not have changed the value that you're giving off, but did you increase the number of products in the pot that had the money off on it? So you can either increase the products, decrease the number, or keep it the same. This is the result. Once again, very, very similar numbers. Over 3/4 didn't change it. So why was Cyber Monday so good if the discounts were the same pretty much as they what were on Black Friday? And the answer can be explained in a wonderfully technical way using a calendar. So this date here is Cyber Monday, in 2023. Over 50% of the UK's population get paid in the final working week of the month. Black Friday last year was here, which is not the final working week of the month. There was a large proportion of people that hadn't been paid yet by the time Black Friday actually turned up. So you come round to Monday, a nice chunk of people in the population get their paycheck, sales and discounts are still going on at the same rate from Black Friday, money pours in the tills. So what does that mean for this year? Well, if we add in the thing over here, Cyber Monday is actually the following month this year. So who knows what that year on year is going to look like. But the really interesting thing, and probably the biggest takeaway that I can give you for this year's Black Friday to consider, the big day itself, right here, is on the final working day of the month. Every single person in this country, in theory, should have been paid their November paycheck by Black Friday. So it really works in its favor as to what might be coming. It should do pretty well. And in terms of what actually you've got in store for this year's Black Friday, we do have a forecast, something that you can take back to your business and go, the UK's eCommerce Association are saying Black Friday is going to do this in the market. But can you trust us? We did a forecast last year. So 12 months ago, I was stood right here saying, here's what I think Black Friday is going to do. And we said the 8-day period was going to be down by 2%. What was it? You're welcome. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. 0.1% out. So we got it reasonably right. So what do we think is going to happen this year? Well, as a little kind of background information, this is how the market has performed so far this year. 220 retailers representing £26 billion online. This is their collective year-on-year growth across the first 8 months of 2024. Most of it is negative, but it is going in the right direction. Slowly but surely, that red trend line is heading towards positivity. So that's working in our favor. There are some other things to consider. At this point last year, the market was down 4% year to date. We are currently at -3, so slightly better. The timing of Black Friday, as I said, is pretty damn good. Everyone will have been paid. There is also the bigger picture of interest rates. I think today, the Bank of England are meeting for one of their decisions. Rumor has it that they're not going to lower interest rates, but there is another one on the 7th of November. That supposedly is a hot favorite for another interest rate deduction. We don't take into consideration macroeconomic figures like this in our calculations. We literally depend entirely on our data set that goes back 20 years. We get the calculators out and we do it quite scientifically to work out what we think the market is going to do for Black Friday. And your number, ladies and gentlemen, is -1%. That is what we think is going to happen. I really hope that I can come back in 12 months and say I was wrong, because I'd love it if it was positive. That would be a really good story. So, I will leave you with one last thing. I've shown you lots of screen grabs of retailers' performances, all the sorts of campaigns that you can do when people start their stuff. We came across one retailer last year that did something fantastic. It's so unusual. This is their website. They're a company called Druids, and they sell golf clothing. Some nice polo shirts and some overly pressed trousers to wear on the green tees. On Black Friday last year, coming up to the big day, they shut down their website. For 3 days, you could not buy anything from their site. They completely shut it down. If you wanted to then get in to their website sale, when the Black Friday thing started, you had to submit your email. They would then give you a code that you have to type in to release you into the Black Friday. I've no idea if it worked. If there happens to be anyone here that knows this company, please tell me, because I'm desperate to know. I thought it was quite weird and wonderful. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the session. Hopefully useful. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Denise. Thank you.